Everyone. I'm going to be talking about brain health, but just give me a second. I'm going to be also connecting my Instagram here. Okay. Perfect. Let's see here. Okay, great. So I'm talking about brain health today. So for those of you that are on Instagram, I am also on live on Facebook. And my Facebook is going to be off a PowerPoint. And so I'm going to be looking on the screen while I'm going through that, just so you know. And you can access the slides if you go to the Gene Hacker group page on Facebook. So just let you know that's what's going on here. Okay, so we're talking about all about brain health. And it's going to be so good to not talk about the coronavirus and the immunity today. We're going to be more focusing on foods that can help with the brain and empowering the brain. So there are two things that affect our brain health, right? So first, it's going to be our gut health. Our gut really impacts our brain. And then second will be certain nutrients that actually help with the brain and what those are. So I'm going to be breaking those down into two different things. Okay, so when you have an imbalanced microbiome, that is going to disrupt your gastrointestinal system. When you have a disruption in the gastrointestinal system, you're going to have incorrect levels of neurotransmitters, and neurotransmitters are those brain chemicals that are just giving those signals and telling us what our different systems need to do. And then, of course, that can also create symptoms of poor thinking and altered mood. So who of you guys have heard of the gut being your second brain? So that is why we call the gut our second brain, due to the neurotransmitters. So that can affect our thoughts and our emotions. And then also when you are feeling maybe some emotional mood swings or cravings, that can all stem from the neurotransmitters. Your gut is also important when it comes to our brain health because it manufactures a B vitamin complex. So when we talk about B vitamins, that is contributed to the methylation cycle, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And that's what I wanted to talk about, what certain nutrients help. So the gut health also impacts the amount of B vitamins that are available to us and how we can absorb them. And then third thing about our gut health, it produces fermentable indigestible carbohydrates. So those carbohydrates come from your prebiotics, and those fermented indigestible carbohydrates are butyrate, acetate, and propionate. So those have different factors, and I'll kind of break them down on what they do. Our main focus will be on acetate, but butyrate can help with the immunity, and then butyrate, acetate, propionate all help with the satiety, weight control, and so forth. So you want to have a healthy balance of all of those. So your nervous system, hormone, and immune system are all involved in the chemical signaling between the brain and the gut. So this is really important to know why the gut health is so important for all of us and why that is going to be key. So when we talk about our gut health, right, we want to be paying attention to what our functions of our bowels are looking like. So a good implication that you have a poor gut, maybe you have constipation or irregular bowels or even diarrhea. Talking about diarrhea on here, woo! But that's a good implication that you have poor gut health. And the gut is so important for keeping that healthy gut lining and making sure everything stays between your gut and your body, and toxins and foreign bodies don't get out inside the bloodstream. So talking about keeping that good, healthy gut health, if you do have that leaky gut or maybe you have irritable bowel syndrome, or like those other constipation or other issues that can actually cause inflammation, and inflammation can also affect our brain health as well. So that's really important to make sure that we have that healthy gut health there. So now moving forward into how the satiety is connected to the brain health and what hormone, how that's activated. So going back to that fiber is the when I go back there is the acetate. So acetate is really important for the satiety connection. So acetate is the signaling that is activating between the hormones outside of your gut and the gut wall and communicating to your brain. So these hormones can actually shut down your appetite. So when you're feeling any sugar cravings or carbohydrates, or maybe it's just some weird, wacky, hunger or craving that you have, that can be indicating that your fibers in your gut are actually out of alignment. So you may have more of certain fibers over the other, or maybe you have an imbalanced pH. So those are different ways that can impact the satiety connection. And so these hormones can actually, they're acting as though they're turning on or off those hunger mechanisms. And so that's really important for overall healthy weight and our appetite. So that's why it's connected to that brain hormone there. Also, 90% of serotonin is actually manufactured in the gut. So that's, those serotonin are those feel-good hormones. They also help with sleep. It's also going to help with producing melatonin. So all these things are all connected to the gut. So when you have a balanced microbiome, you have a healthy GI tract, right, and healthy brain neurotransmitters. You can have clear thinking and calm, confident, energetic mood maybe. So a lot of you may be saying to your healthcare provider that you're feeling like your brain isn't functioning, or you can't think clearly, or you have some brain fog. Maybe you're even jittery. That could be kind of stemmed to your actual gut health, and that might be something to look at and making sure you have that healthy gut before thinking about what kind of nutrients are going to help with the brain. Because if you have an unhealthy gut, including those nutrients aren't necessarily going to do much good for you. So of course, everything that impacts the gut is going to be stress levels, trauma that you've had from your past. Maybe it's outdoor environmental toxins, or maybe cleaning environment toxins. The foods that you consume can be sensitive to you, or let's see, just maybe other factors that can be contributing to your gut health. So you want to make sure you're taking care of your stress levels first and your gut health before moving on to the next part that I'm not going to be talking about. Let's see here. I want to also talk about inflammation in your brain. So I kind of discussed that a little bit there, that, oh, right. So the stress, poor nourishment, exposure to environmental toxins, foods, those can all lead to inflammation, which can lead to a leaky gut or imbalanced microbiome, which cascades into this whole fire inflammation. So inflammation, we know, is the leading cause of chronic disease. This can also help, this can also impact anxiety and depression. So when you have a lot of inflammation in the body, there's going to be a whole different cascade of effects. So we want to make sure we're taking care of that. So of course, the foods that help with gut health are probiotics and prebiotics. I don't want to go much into there. Most of you guys know what those are. If you don't, you can use Google. Okay, on to the second part of brain health, right? So what the heck is the methylation cycle and folate cycle? So I'm going to be talking about those there and how those are important for brain health. A lot of the times we hear that maybe turmeric or fish oil, or maybe even your mushrooms like lion's mane really help with brain health. But we don't really talk about the science behind that and why that's important. And we don't talk about the other nutrients that are important for brain health. So I really want to talk about that and dive a little bit into that. So we talked about neurotransmitters, those brain chemicals. So I want to talk about what produces those neurotransmitters. And then the nutrients that support the critical cycles. So those critical cycles are going to be those methylation and folate cycles. I'm also going to be talking about the BH4 cycle that helps with brain health. And you want to think of those as your body functioning into like gears. Think about either a bike gear or maybe different systems or gears in your computer hard drive, or maybe it's just different things that are working together in a vehicle to make sure the whole engine works together. So they're different parts that come together. They're going to be like teeth on a gear. So as one thing turns and moves, it's going to help the other system turn and move. So our body is actually similar to an engine, right? Okay, so, and just so you guys know, on Instagram, I'm on Facebook too. And so that's why I'm looking at my screen back and forth here, and I'm just checking on comments if there are any. Okay, so I have a picture up on Facebook. Sorry for Instagram, for you guys that cannot see this. So the first cycle here is your methylation cycle. So methionine is what contributes to this methylation cycle here. And you can see the little minerals that are helping with that in vitamins. So B12 here, zinc, you have homocysteine, a magnesium. So you can see how all these important vitamins are important for the methylation cycle. So thinking about the B vitamins, right? So keep that in mind. The B vitamins are really important for your brain. And that is going to, of course, affect this folate cycle. So the folate cycle here. And then you have the urine cycle here. So these are all just working together. You can see that it produces ATP. You have the 5-methyl THF. We're not going to go too much into that here. This is not a science lecture. So, okay, so the methylation cycle and folate cycle. So the methylation cycle is just transferring methyl groups. So when you think of methyl groups, it's 3 hydrogens to 1 carbon. When we transfer these methyl groups, this is what's enabling all these biochemical cycles to work. So it's an on and off switch in the body, right? So if one cycle isn't working efficiently, it's going to really impact the other cycles, and which can in turn cause some issues there. So folate provides the methyl groups to your B12 vitamins in the methylation cycle to make it turn. Okay, finally, we've made it to the essential nutrients that help with the brain health, right? So brain health is going to be your B2, B3, B6, B12, and folate. So those are all coming from your animal proteins. So animal proteins are really important for the brain health. Especially fish and seafood. Besides just having those B2 vitamins, they also have the omega-3 and EPA and DHA. I'll talk about those a little bit later. Other minerals that are important for our brain health are, of course, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. Amino acids are cysteine, glutamate, glycine, methionine, and other are choline that are found in egg yolks, betaine, which are found in beets. And so I'll go a little bit more into detail about what foods contain that, but for now, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Okay, so talking about those neurotransmitters that really help with signaling our brain. So this is what affects our mood, affects our sleep, our feel-good hormones. It helps with our energy too, right? So this is the BH4 cycle that I was talking about. So the BH4 is impacted by the interaction of methylation and folate working together. So this is where neurotransmitters are created. So hormones like epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, and there should be an E there, serotonin, and melatonin. So those are all those hormones there. So the epinephrine and norepinephrine are the fight or flight hormones. So this is when you can get a little bit jittery. This causes a lot of stress in the body. It can cause inflammation. And we need certain systems in the brain to also be working efficiently to get rid of those hormones as well. And then dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin are the feel-good hormones. So this is, again, created by also your gut health and, again, by the methylation and folate cycle. So, again, in talking about this, if one cycle fails to interact with the other, you can feel stress, agitated, moody, or even euphoric. Okay, so finally, we're going to be talking about the different foods that actually help with that cycle. So a lot of us have considered maybe turmeric for brain health, or maybe even lion's mane or fish oil. So those are included, but there's going to be some other ones too. So your nuts and seeds, they're really high in those B vitamins that help with that methylation cycle that, of course, affect producing hormones for our brain. Animal protein, like I said, seafood, they're also high in omega-3s. So omega-3s are really important not only for our brain health functioning, but they also help because they have the DHA and EPA that are going to be helping with our brain actually needs DHA and EPA to be running efficiently. And also it can lower the inflammation. When I talked about earlier about how inflammation can cause anxiety and depression. So omega-3s can also help with inflammation as well. Okay, legumes are also a great source of those vitamins I talked about earlier, your B2, B3, B6. They also contain some minerals there that we talked about. And then avocado, mango, oranges, sun-dried tomato, beets, corn, spinach, peas and peppers, burrs yeast, and mushrooms like shiitake and lion's mane. So I love lion's mane, to be honest. I actually found it finally for the first time here in Montana last fall. It was kind of, it wasn't lion's mane, but it's like a subcategory of lion's mane, so it's very similar. So that was fun to kind of forage for. I want to ask if any of you guys forage mushrooms. If so, just give me a thumbs up and let me know so I can kind of connect with you and we can talk about some interesting things. Nutritional yeast is another one. Quinoa is another one. Rye, sea vegetables, and wheat germ. So if you guys are wanting this whole list sent to you, you can either go to my Facebook group page, The Gene Hacker, and watch the video, or just shoot me a comment and I will email you this list. And so those are all the important nutrients for brain health. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I also wanted to let you guys know that I have opened up my one-on-one coaching program. And so that's going to be incorporating DNA testing and 3 months of monthly one-on-one coaching with me, and of course, weekly text messages or emails. And I'm going to be providing so much value for you guys and helping you go into the path you need to. This is especially beneficial for those that have been looking for solutions and just haven't found that. And so that's where DNA testing comes hand in hand. And I'm one of the few dietitians that are actually trained in reading DNA testing. So a lot of people may get DNA testing but don't necessarily know what to do with it. So that's really helpful. And then of course I'm going to be providing guides such as these important nutrients that you need to put into your kitchen, how to store them, unlimited amounts of recipes, and giving you a meal plan and recipe pack that are specific to your genes. So I hope that you guys really found this to be valuable. If you missed out on watching this, I want you to just do #replay, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much. Bye.